It really does seem like everywhere you turn these days, someone is talking about the vagus nerve.
It's true.
So, for this deep dive, we're going to be looking at some material that really goes deep on the vagus nerve.
Sounds good.
Specifically, how we can actually use it to, find calm in this crazy world we live in.
Yeah.
And maybe even unlock some hidden potential.
Right.
I was reading this material, and I thought it was so interesting that the vagus nerve isn't just reacting to stress, but can maybe even help us, not be so stressed.
It is fascinating how it's this two-way communication system between our brain and body.
Yeah.
On the one hand, the vagus nerve is constantly gathering info from our organs, sending it to our brains.
Yeah.
But then it also sends signals back down. It can influence our heart rate, our digestion, even our mood.
Wow.
And all this through releasing these things called neurotransmitters.
So it's like we can hack this system to feel better.
Well, not quite hack, but the expert in this conversation does seem concerned that our modern world is really messing with this system.
Yeah, in a bad way.
Right, it's all this stimulation from our phones, social media, the city.
Just everything, really.
It keeps our nervous systems in overdrive.
Oh, yeah.
We're constantly plugged in.
I know exactly how that feels.
And even if we don't realize it, that's really draining.
So draining.
Yeah.
What about this whole attention specialization thing, though?
Oh, yeah, that's a really fascinating concept.
Can you tell me more about that?
Well, the expert suggests that what we call attention deficit could actually be a form of really focused attention.
Oh.
It's just directed to something else, something other than what's considered appropriate at that time.
So instead of the deficit, it's like a strength.
Exactly.
So the kid who can't sit still during a lecture, but can focus for hours playing a video game.
Right. Their attention is specialized just in a different way.
That's such a cool way to think about it.
Yeah.
So how does the vagus nerve tie into all this?
Well, that's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
There's more and more research exploring how things that stimulate the vagus nerve, like deep breathing or being in nature, they can actually help us control our attention.
And even focus on things that we're really interested in.
Yes, exactly.
So we don't have to force ourselves to have the same kind of attention as everyone else.
Right. It's about working with our own neurobiology, I guess.
And finding the activities and environments that we really thrive in.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so all this hyperstimulation is a problem.
Yes.
And we need to find ways to, recalibrate our nervous systems.
Right.
But the expert doesn't seem too convinced about technology being the answer here.
Yeah, well, there's definitely some cool new tech, apps that can help us track our heart rate.
Yeah, I've seen those.
The expert emphasizes that real-world solutions are so important.
Okay, so what?
Spending time in nature, mindful movement, real social connection, that kind of thing.
Those seem so much more, down to earth. But is it really realistic for everyone to just, escape to nature and unplug?
Well, it's definitely a challenge in today's world.
For sure.
But even small changes can make a big difference.
Like what?
Even just a quick walk in the park every day.
Yeah.
Or putting your phone down and having actual conversations with people.
Right. That makes sense.
These things can really impact your vagal tone and just how you feel overall.
So we need to relearn how to, be present.
Yes. And engage with the world in a more mindful way.
But it's not all about practical stuff.
No.
This material also gets into this whole idea of the power of beauty.
It does, and it's such an interesting part of the conversation.
What does it say?
The expert believes that being surrounded by beauty, whether it's nature or art or music, it can really calm our nervous systems.
Okay.
And not only that, it can help us reach deeper states of creativity.
Really?
Yeah, where we can really unlock our potential.
So beauty is like a portal to a different way of being.
I love that. That's such a nice way to put it.
It makes you think about what kinds of beauty really speak to you.
Right. What sparks joy for you and makes you feel alive?
Those are big questions.
They are.
This is about so much more than just, managing stress.
It is.
It's about creating a life that is beautiful and meaningful.
And connected to others.
Yeah.
And understanding this vagus nerve can help us make choices that support that.
That actually leads perfectly into the next thing I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
The expert talks a lot about the environment we're in, especially for kids.
It's so important.
What does the expert say?
Well, they say that children are like sponges, soaking up everything around them.
Oh, for sure.
And if their environment is always hyperstimulated, it'll be much harder for them to learn to regulate their own nervous systems.
So it's not just about telling our kids to do certain things.
Right.
It's about creating an environment that is good for them
Exactly.
and for their well-being.
Yes. And that all starts with us adults. Being mindful of our own habits and the kind of environment we create at home.
The expert even said, you reap what you sow.
That's a good one.
It's not just about, like, teaching kids to meditate or be in nature.
No.
It's about creating a culture of calm
And connection.
in our homes, in our communities.
Exactly. And that's a much bigger conversation.
It is, but it's so important.
I agree.
I feel like we've covered so much already,
We have.
and there's still so much more to talk about.
There is. I'm interested to hear what you think about the medical implant mentioned in the material.
Oh, yeah, that was really interesting.
It is amazing that we can now use electricity to stimulate the vagus nerve.
And to treat some medical conditions, too.
Right.
That's pretty wild.
It makes you wonder about the potential for stimulating the vagus nerve in other ways, too.
Yeah, like if we can use a device to reduce inflammation in severe cases,
Right.
are there things we can do every day to get a similar effect, even if it's not as strong?
Now, that is the question. Thankfully, the material gives us some ideas, but we'll get into those later.
Okay, I'm ready.
Me too.
This deep dive is already so interesting.
It really is.
I'm learning so much.
That just shows how much power we have to influence how we feel.
Just by understanding how the vagus nerve works.
Exactly.
I can't wait to learn more.
Me too.
So you were saying that this material gives us some clues on how to stimulate the vagus nerve in our everyday lives.
Well, if you think about it,
Yeah.
the vagus nerve is like the control center for our rest and digest system. So things that help us relax, those naturally engage the vagus nerve.
Okay, so like meditation,
Yes.
deep breathing, that sort of thing.
Exactly. Deep, slow breaths, especially when you focus on a long exhale.
Mm-hmm.
That's a direct line to activating your vagus nerve.
I've definitely noticed that when I slow down and really focus on my breath,
Yeah.
I feel much calmer, like hitting a reset button or something.
It really is. And it's not just breathing, either even
don't-
singing or humming, or chanting. They can
Oh.
stimulate the vagus nerve, too, through the vibrations in your vocal cords.
Interesting. I never would have thought of that.
Yeah, and here's another one you might not expect.
Okay.
Laughter.
Wait, really?
Laughter is a powerful vagus nerve stimulator.
You're kidding. So a good laugh,
Yeah.
it can actually be good for you.
Beyond just making you feel good. Yeah.
Wow.
It triggers these endorphins,
Right.
which boost your mood and can even help with pain.
Oh.
And at the same time, it's stimulating your vagus nerve
Which helps with stress.
and promotes a sense of calm.
So basically,
Yeah.
finding joy and humor throughout the day,
Mm-hmm.
it's not just fun, it's actually healthy.
Exactly.
I love that.
And there's even more
Like what?
gargling,
Gargling?
splashing cold water on your face,
Really?
even light stretching.
All of that can activate the vagus nerve.
It's amazing, right?
It really is. It's like all these little things we do every day
Mm-hmm.
can have such a big impact.
And we don't need any special equipment or expensive treatments.
Right.
We can start incorporating these simple practices right now.
I like that it's not about adding more to our to-do list.
Yeah,
It's about being more mindful in what we're already doing.
exactly. And as you try out these different practices,
Yeah.
pay attention to how they make you feel.
Okay.
What makes you feel grounded and centered and full of energy.
I guess those are the things that are helping my vagus nerve.
Exactly. It's like you're becoming a detective of your own nervous system.
Uh-huh. That's a great way to put it.
You learn to notice those subtle cues from your body,
Yeah.
and then you can adjust your behavior.
So it's not like we're just stuck with however we feel.
Oh, no.
We can actually change things.
You have so much more control than you might think.
This is so cool.
It is. The more we learn about the vagus nerve,
Mm-hmm.
the more we see how interconnected everything really is.
Like our.
Our physical health, our emotions, our creativity, even our relationships. It's all tied together.
It's like this whole new way of looking at life.
It is.
But I have to admit, some of this stuff sounds kind of out there.
I get it. It can sound a little woo-woo sometimes.
Yeah.
But the science behind it is real.
That's good to know. I'm always a little skeptical of things that promise quick fixes.
I think it's good to be skeptical,
Yeah.
but it's also good to be open to new ideas
True.
and to do your own research.
Well, the fact that we're even talking about this
Right.
shows that more and more people are interested in the vagus nerve.
Exactly. And there's still a lot to learn.
Yeah.
But what we know so far is pretty amazing.
So for someone who's just starting to learn about all this,
Mm-hmm.
where do they even begin?
I think the most important thing is to just start paying attention.
To what?
Notice how you feel throughout the day.
Okay.
What activities make you feel happy?
Yeah.
What environments make you feel relaxed?
And that one,
And then start trying out some of these things we've talked about.
like the deep breathing and stuff.
Exactly. Start small. Like maybe take a few deep breaths before you get out of bed.
Right.
Or go for a walk at lunch.
Right.
And see how you feel.
It's like we're rediscovering how to listen to our bodies,
We are. For so long, we've been told to ignore those signals.
to push through fatigue and all that,
Yeah, but what if those signals are actually trying to help us?
to live a better life.
That's the question, isn't it?
It is.
And I think the vagus nerve might hold the answers.
I'm starting to see how this isn't just about stress.
Yeah.
It's about connecting to something deeper within ourselves.
You got it. It's about healing and creativity and connection.
And in a world that feels so chaotic,
Yeah,
that's a really powerful message.
it is. And I think a lot of people are looking for that right now.
I think so too.
The more we explore this,
Yeah.
the more we'll see how much potential we have to create a more balanced life.
This has been so eye-opening.
I'm glad to hear it.
I feel like I'm seeing everything in a whole new light.
That's what learning does.
Yeah.
It opens up new possibilities.
I'm definitely feeling inspired to learn more.
I'm glad. But before we wrap up, is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
I think we've covered most of it.
Okay. Well, I do want to remind everyone that we're all on a journey here.
Right.
There's no one right way to stimulate your vagus nerve.
Or to live a better life, I guess.
Exactly. It's about finding what works for you.
So listen to your body.
Yes.
Experiment with different things.
Try new things.
And trust your gut.
Exactly.
It's not about being perfect.
No.
It's about making progress.
And being kind to yourself along the way.
I like that. That's a good reminder.
It is.
I think that's a good place to stop for now. It's like our whole world is set up to make us stressed all the time.
Yeah, it's true. We're constantly bombarded with information and deadlines and...
Like we don't even have a choice.
Right, it feels like we're on this crazy train we can't get off of.
But learning about this vagus nerve thing,
Mm-hmm.
it seems like we actually have more control than we thought.
We do. We can actually change how our nervous system reacts to all that stuff.
That's a good feeling, like we're not just stuck.
Right, we can become more resilient, more able to deal with those challenges.
So it's not about getting rid of stress completely.
No, not at all.
It's more about, I don't know, changing how we see it.
Exactly. Stress is normal.
Right.
It's what pushes us to do things.
But when it's constant
Yeah, that's when it becomes a problem.
for our minds and our bodies,
Exactly.
that's where the vagus nerve comes in.
It's like it helps us balance things out.
Right. Find that sweet spot between being challenged and being relaxed.
Yes. And the more we know about it,
Mm-hmm.
the better choices we can make to keep it functioning well.
So, like we were talking about before,
Yeah.
spending time in nature, listening to music, even just taking some deep breaths.
All of that can make a difference.
And it's not just in the moment, right?
Right. It actually makes us more resilient over time.
Wow. So we're actually getting better at handling stress in the future.
It's like we're building up our inner strength
I like that.
so we don't get knocked down as easily.
We can handle whatever life throws at us.
And we can do it with more, I don't know, grace, I guess.
This has been so helpful.
I'm glad you think so.
I feel like I have a whole new understanding of how powerful this vagus nerve thing really is
It is pretty powerful.
and how we can use it to change our lives.
I hope this deep dive has inspired you to try some of this stuff out for yourself.
I definitely am. What about our listeners?
Yeah.
Is there one thing you would recommend they start with?
That's a tough one.
There are so many options.
I know, but if I had to pick just one,
Yeah.
I'd say start with your breath.
Okay.
It's such a simple thing,
We do it all the time.
but we don't always pay attention to it.
Right.
And just a few deep breaths
Yeah.
really change how you feel
It can take you from stressed to calm.
in just a few seconds.
It's amazing how something so simple can be so powerful.
It is. We don't need to overthink it.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's what I love about the vagus nerve.
What about it?
It's like this built-in wisdom we all have. We
Yeah.
just have to remember how to access it.
And we can do that just by breathing.
Exactly.
I think that's a perfect place to wrap things up.
I agree.
This deep dive has been amazing.
I've enjoyed talking with you.
Me too. Thanks for sharing your expertise with us.
Of course. And for everyone listening, remember, this is just the beginning.
Yeah, there's so much more to learn about the vagus nerve.
And about yourselves.
So keep exploring, keep experimenting,
And keep listening to your body.
and don't forget to breathe.
Exactly. Until next time, stay curious and stay well.